And there we are, guys. Welcome into another edition of TigerBait Live. Buddy Songy here in the house, back with us after a week off, and we should have a pretty lively show tonight. LSU at Auburn this weekend. I think LSU's surging. We can talk about it, but Buddy and I talked about it earlier. I think if LSU played Florida State again, they beat them. And but I think LSU's probably on schedule, win-loss wise. And had a big Monday. Matt McMahon, Kim Mulkey, Brian Kelly, all three of them. Practices started. Saw a little bit of Mulkey's first practice before I headed back to the office. Multiple quarterbacks on campus for the LSU game on Saturday. And, of course, they took care of New Mexico. Matt House's defense was exceptional. And welcome back to the show, buddy.
Good to see you. Good to dap again. I was a little under the weather last time, so still getting over some of this congestion and crap that we've all had to endure during this football season. But, Mike, I'm a little charged up. I think that absolutely. How about the job he did? You were fantastic last week with the show on recruiting. Got a lot of positive feedback, a lot of good recruiting stuff. And I'm here back in the saddle as we are recharged and ready to go. And, man, you think about LSU, and I tried to watch Auburn and Missouri, the 11 o'clock game last weekend. I got to tell you, folks, it was some boring-ass football. And Auburn only picked up about 218 yards against Missouri. A gift of God that they actually won the game because Missouri was going in and fumbled. But that being said, they're 3-1, LSU's 3-1. Something crazy always happens. But if Auburn plays the way they've been playing and LSU plays the way they have been playing, then it should be an excellent win with a little more momentum coming back to have the screwdriver game. LSU got the screwdriver playing the orange at 11 o'clock in the morning. So what, screwdrivers, Bloody Marys?
Bloody Marys.
What's your choice? Bloody Mary?
If I'm sitting on the east side, it's lots of Gatorade.
But look, it's a good time to be a Tiger fan. We'll recap a lot of things. Good to be back, and you did a great job last week.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. And of course, we're brought to you by Pride Roofing each and every week. We couldn't do the show without them. Sent out 4 emails today, guys jumping all over the promo that they're running forever. You give them a call, 855-PRIDE-16, and they're going to pay for it. You have TigerBait Premium for a year. And got 4 new subscribers for the next year for free. And so we're going to talk more about them a little bit later in the show. But, guys, as always, if you're enjoying the show, you guys have been wonderful helping us out with the algorithm. Hit the like button. It really helps us get into the recommended next video category for LSU fans. And, of course, hit the subscribe button, notification bell. We've been hitting you with player interviews, coaches' press conferences, post-game. I even had a video Saturday night of the players singing the alma mater. And,
I saw that.
I thought that came out pretty good. So we've got a lot for you, and it's all free on YouTube. So, and we're heading towards 15,000 subscribers. So our YouTube channel is blowing and going, and that's thanks to you guys spreading the word. So share the show to your Facebook, your Twitter, social media, and share the whole works. And much appreciative for you guys doing that.
My NIL sponsors tonight, Greystone with the golf shirt, but Pride Roofing. This is a good-looking hat. Once again, folks, free roofing inspection. We see what's going on in Florida. Do business with these people. You will never be sorry.
Larry's saying, why isn't LSU recruiting Waltese Champ? That's the defensive end from Homer. I haven't seen him. I think there's some buzz out there, but, man, refresh my memory. When was the last time LSU recruited somebody from Homer?
Yeah, it's well, look, here's the interesting thing that I think we're going to see on the back end of this recruiting class. How much attrition does LSU have because of the unlimited numbers this year? Do you go after a 3-star, a guy that might be a late bloomer, and take a shot at him if somebody 2 or 3 or 4 leave, seeing they're not going to play moving forward? So we don't know how that's. Well, I've talked about it. It's going to be over 30 again.
And I saw a guy that fits in that category Friday night when I went to St. Martinville. I saw Harvey Broussard, the wide receiver from St. Martinville, and I think he's a darn good-looking athlete. He scored a touchdown on Derek Williams. But if you say who won that night, I'm going to say Derek Williams did. And, guys, if you So that's another reason why you need to subscribe. I got an exclusive interview with Derek Williams after the game. He talked about future visits, coming to LSU, who he's talking to on the staff, and all that. I think there's still some work to be done there. But he's got Alabama and A&M's, of course, snooping around as well. The Texas commitment, I don't know how firm that is, but I think there's a good bit of time left out there for him. And he's not a midterm grad.
And you spoke highly about him. Listen, folks, one of the good things that I think people have not really emphasized enough this week with all the talk, Seven Banks came back and played corner last week. Now, he had 4 tackles, but he looked like he was ready to compete. LSU's got some big corners. He's 6'2", over 200. Mekhi Garner is 6'2", 215, and Bernard Converse is 6'1", 205. 3 big corners. Kobe's 190. But Banks coming back now, Mike, with Joe Fouché coming right in with Major Burns being hurt. And Greg Brooks, of course, playing next to Fouché. Jay Ward at the line of scrimmage in the slot. I'm excited. And now you got Harold Perkins. How many people said Harold Perkins would be this good this early?
Yeah, I didn't see it.
No, I didn't see it this early. Remember we saw those drills?
But
him and some other guys were doing drills.
But that's also great coaching.
Yeah. There's no doubt Matt House gets the most out. He is by far the best.
How much of that is attributed to not only Matt House being the defensive coordinator, but the fact that the defensive coordinator is also the linebackers coach? And we've seen him coach players. I mean, he's very able to connect with them. He's really good. So, but Perkins is out of this world. So, when you think about all SEC freshman team, what are those numbers going to look like in December?
Going to be impressive.
And that's why LSU fans should be excited right now.
Sure.
Fire 3449. Hey, Mike, is Nick Storrs on the punt coverage team? And being a former pitcher, how well can he throw the football? # fake punt against Florida opportunity.
I have not seen Storrs on the kickoff or punt coverage. I don't know if he was asking about a fake punt or a fake field goal, but I will say this.
Because Bramlett's the holder on.
Bramlett's the holder, but I will say this.
But Bramlett was the quarterback in high school.
He was. He's still a great athlete. But in 4 games, Brian Kelly has gone for it on 4th down 8 times. That's an average of 2 times a game. But let's be honest, folks. We're going to find out after Auburn what this team is made of. Hosting Tennessee, at Florida, hosting Ole Miss, open date, hosting Bama. Right now, the stats look really good, Mike. But we're going to find out how good LSU is here in the coming weeks.
American Patriot, would it go Tigers, Joseph Riche, or is it Richie? Says, keep up the good work, Mike. I guess it's either Richie, depending on what part of the state you're from. It could be Riche. Preston is in the chat. Mike, are you ready to apologize for your Jack Bech slander yet? Asking for my own pettiness. And your own narcissism, if we'll go there. I have nothing to apologize for.
Well, let's just say this.
I mean, you and I got into it just like he and I did.
Well, no.
My whole point with Jack was, who are you going to sit down to get him all these reps? He forgets that Keishon Butte was having a baby delivered and didn't play.
Yeah.
So how much would that have affected the number of reps? And, of course, he's on the field because they're not going to take him off the field after he returns a punt. If he's back out there, they're going to keep him out there on that series or the first few plays, and then they'll rotate him in. But that's the problem with the rotation. You've got a huge wide receiver group.
And Preston, you're going to learn as you get more experience in this business that you're not always going to get every freaking thing right. People are going to disagree in opinions, and that was not the only person that said Jack Bech should be seeing the football, because last year I don't think they utilized his talent. He only had 2 catches going into that game, and people know he's got great hands. Now, you intimated, you'd done some research, and you thought he would be a candidate for the punt return.
Yeah, I'm the guy pushing for punt returns, so I can't. You can't have it both ways. But I'm saying Bech is your guy to be the punt returner. But just because I'm saying, well, who are you going to sit down if you want Bech to be so involved? You can sit down Jenkins. You're going to sit down Neighbors. You're going to sit down Butte. You're going We see Chris Hilton doing a few nice things recently. Brian Thomas, of course. I mean, so you can say from 1 week. What do you think all the people in Walker, Louisiana are saying? Man, you need to get Brian Thomas more involved. Go north of Baton Rouge. You think you got a bunch of people upset because Chris Hilton ain't getting the ball enough?
But my point is
everybody's got their own contingent.
But my point is this, folks, you're going to miss some. You're going to have an opinion that doesn't work out your way, so you don't apologize it. You move on and try to give the best opinion the next week. I will say this.
And by the way, guys, you know I like to pick on Preston.
Yeah, Preston comes in the firing lane and all. But look, you and I talked about it on the radio show. And Brian Kelly, and we don't know him well enough to know his mannerisms on the field. But he was pitching a fit, and that was one of those ticky-tack calls. As I told you today on the radio, if they'd made that call when LSU was playing Alabama, I could understand it because that happens a lot. But to make it against New Mexico, I thought it was a marginal call. So now I'm going to ask you, will Jack get in the end zone again this season?
Oh, yeah, he will.
Yeah? Okay.
He will. He will.
Derek Stingley never returned a punt at LSU.
Let me ask you this. Brian Kelly, was he right on the that block, that getting called back? What was your take?
I thought it was definitely a chinchy call that you should have got the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I agree. And by the way, speaking of Preston, he had a show last night. He had Jake Crane from Crane and Company on. You can go check that out. I thought that was a really good show.
Yeah, good show last night.
Trucking with Casper with a super chat. Big time thanks, Trucking with Casper. He's one of our great guys each and every week. Nice to see you guys back together. Really loving Harold Perkins and Will Campbell showing this early, and he gives a go Tigers. Man, that little tiger emoji, that looks like the Clemson tiger, doesn't it? It's not. When you look at didn't they do it the other night? They showed all the tiger heads of all the tigers in the league. I don't know what game that was on. Is there any doubt which one is the best looking one?
Not
all the other tiger mascots look like they're emaciated, anorexic, bulimic. I don't know what it is.
Hey, they're playing NC State this weekend, and once again, now most of you know Florida learned their lesson, so now they're going to play their game on Sunday. But Clemson and NC State.
Clemson has got to be the ugliest, right? Their mascot in the outfit.
Yeah.
And then what's next? Auburn's.
Probably.
Auburn's is pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
Thank you, Trucking with Casper, big time. Let me scroll back up and get some of these. You guys are the best, says Keith H. Bill Ferrer wants an injuries update.
All right, here we go real quick. Garrett Dellinger has a hand and is going to be out this week. Mike, you and I were trying to ascertain today, on and off the air, whether or not he will. I guess it's a wait and see, but what do you think? I mean, they're already putting a screw in the thing, and I'm sure he's going to have something that.
It wouldn't surprise me that they're going to cast him up, and he's going to be back in a hurry
for next week against Tennessee.
Probably, I would not. Right. I wouldn't.
But anyway, Dellinger is out this week, so Miles Frazier is going to move from right guard and play left guard. Anthony Bradford is going to get back at right guard. How about Emory Jones and Will Campbell? You see what these guys are making on the grades with PFF. On the O-line grades every week. It's phenomenal. Then you got Hurd coming in. You and I talked about that. You might even be able to move Emory Jones to guard next year, Hurd at tackle, Campbell at tackle, and you ask Brian Kelly.
And then it's a deal where you're going multiple years in a row where you've got all SEC freshman offensive linemen.
Yeah, but you ask Brian Kelly, did you realize you're going to have this many good O-linemen in the state of Louisiana? This is a perk.
Yeah,
he's still going to grab from others, but
and then you still got DJ Chester out there that looks pretty darn good for LSU. Who did I see here below?
Joe Fouché back from suspension will play. Major Burns is out, and my gut feeling is that Almighty Goodwin, they're probably going to try to hold him out if they can win this game without playing him. He's had hammy problems last year. You don't want that to carry on into the meat of the schedule.
Andy Whitaker, assuming Matt House continues to have a great year, do you think he will try to get a head coaching position, or we continue to learn under Kelly for a couple more years?
Man.
Well, I don't know how much he's got to learn. I mean, what is Matt House's age? I mean, he's a seasoned veteran. I mean, but maybe we ought to quit talking about Matt House so much.
Well, no, I think it's a great question, and I am hoping that LSU can keep him for at least 2 years, 3 years, because just what he's teaching these guys between the noggin. By the way, we're talking about Harold Perkins. The best thing about Harold Perkins, he wants to learn. The best thing about Emory Jones and Will Campbell, they want to learn. They're putting in the extra film study and all the things you need to do on and off the field. That's what's so exciting to see, the kind of character and the kind of foundation he's building with the quality kids.
Chance Babin, another one of our great guys that's here each and every week. I'm always glad to see you, Chance. Hashtag Ask Mike, what is the latest on Toviano? It's an LSU prediction for me. I put in a prediction on his profile page on TigerBait, I guess 2 or 3 weeks ago. And, of course, he's there with the Aggies this past weekend wearing a LSU hat. And I was laughing because Jason Howell is the one that tweeted out the photo. And because it was a blacked out hat with the black hat with black LSU letters, he didn't see it. I wouldn't have seen it either. And people noticed it. And the kid has said he's known where he's going since August. I believe him. I think it's LSU.
Very impressive.
And that kid is a stud. Jason, I bring up Jason Howell. He's seen him. Jason Howell has put up clips. He sent me a bunch of pictures from when he went out and scouted him. Jason and I go back many years. Of course, he's the recruiting analyst now with Texags. And, man, he's what you expect to see as a defensive back at LSU.
And so
just the way he's built.
Would they take a third safety? Of course, you already got Colin Jackson, and if you get Toviano, would they take and you take Derek Williams? Boy, you're going to lose Fouché and Brooks, and
you take them all.
You take them all safety, and
because Toviano,
they bring the wood.
Because Toviano can play several spots.
Yeah, he can play corner as well.
Drew Boogie says he says mimosas. What's good, says Stephen Dye. You're the best. Go LSU. Larry Ward, FSU fan, always liked LSU, great fan base, and there's no louder stadium. I would have liked for that to have been a home-and-home, rather neutral series, but they'll face each other again next year.
Hey, they also have a big game this weekend. They are hosting Wake Forest. They're 4-0. Travis, their excellent quarterback, got hurt. He's coming back. They had an incredible comeback to win.
Pull for Florida State the rest of the way.
And look,
that's
I
good.
think LSU fans and Florida State fans are going to get along. They kind of like each other. And, of course, don't forget, they will play first game next year at Orlando.
I didn't see any bad blood after that game.
No, but I think the fan bases get along. I really do.
Yep.
Because both fan bases hate Florida.
Chick drummer. Does that mean she plays the drums? Good for you. So do I. Got a drum set right in front of this set right here. She says Perkins is definitely a beast.
Well, that must be your Nurse Court.
Yeah.
Nurse Court and Danny.
I like female drummers.
Kristen and now Chick drummer. We got another one. Don't you love it, guys? These women come in here and give us solid stuff every week. We appreciate you.
Let's see. Don Wheat says another great show. All right, let me scroll down here and get some more of these. Chuck E. Mike, I traveled from Texas, Las Vegas, Michigan, New Jersey, back home this week. Every airport I was in, I got to go Tigers. It's great to be a Tiger fan. So I'm assuming, Chuck E., you were wearing some LSU gear. Dwayne Official. Mike, do you believe when a recruit takes an unofficial visit, they get reimbursed boosters? Do they get reimbursed by boosters? No. But I will say I'm amazed by the number of kids that make unofficial visits these days, particularly long distances.
Listen, this is one of the things the NCAA has got to clean up. We know there's always been some under the table, and you know the big schools that would pay. And, of course, we know the feud when Nick said they bought every player and intimated that they – and so now you got OU fans very upset because A&M got another big commit from a D lineman. But like a guy told me –
By the way, that was Hicks?
Yeah.
2 years ago at LSU's camp, he was absolutely the best player I saw.
You loved him.
That kid is a beast.
What?
And to be honest with you, several months into the Kelly era, I reached out to him and said, "Have you heard from LSU?" And they didn't even recruit him, or they did.
I saw he wasn't on the list.
Or maybe they got very little feedback. Maybe sometimes you go after a kid and he gives you no feedback. It might have been that kid was locked in for a while, but that kid was a beast.
But listen, how many million they spent last year? They lost to App State. As long as Jimbo is calling plays, you got a chance to beat Texas A&M. And, oh, by the way, guess who they play this week? Mississippi State. So,
But see, they get kids like that. McKinley Jackson, who I saw the same year as Jaquelin Roy, I went to Mississippi to film him in Jacobian. And I'm like, okay, you got Jacobian. I think at that point Jacobian hadn't committed yet. And I could see where you can only take one or the other. But McKinley was a beast. And then you got the Otis kid who's now at Alabama. There's some freaks out there. Mark J. Hey, Mike and Buddy, house is awesome. Denbrock is just as good. Watching film when the line blocks, receivers are open. Great coaches hire great staffs. I'm telling you, man. Look, there's a lot of reasons to be excited, but the beef of the schedule's coming, But if they take care of business with Auburn, which I think they're going to do, and, what if they beat Tennessee? And then, how tough is it going to be to win in Fayetteville? Ole Miss, Alabama, of course. But I think they're on pace if you're like me and think 8-4.
this is the first time in years that LSU defense is disguising. They are showing one defense at the line of scrimmage. The ball is snapped, and they go into another defense. Brian Kelly's very proud of the fact that Matt House has been able to disguise. They're tackling better. They are being more aggressive. They've got guys tweaking and leaning like Perkins and BJ and everybody else. Got to get more sacks. LSU has 11 sacks on their defense. They've given up 13. Only have 2 INTs. Only a +2 on turnover ratio. All of that, though, if you continue to get better, those stats are going to get appreciable. I want to see Coach Denbrock get rid of it quicker with Jaden Daniels. I think the biggest problem you have with Jaden Daniels, you and I talked about this, and you mentioned it last week. I thought it was a great point Mike made. Throw the frickin' football on first down, and the run game is going to be there. If you hand it off right up the gut of that offensive line in the SEC, you're going to get 2 yards a carry. Am I right?
Yeah.
So, dink and dunk, boom, boom, boom. They love the tight end. A lot of tight ends for me. They're going to recruit better tight ends. But can we get Cole Taylor or Mason Taylor to catch a touchdown pass this weekend? And, oh, by the way, can you get Kayshon Boutte out of the shrink's office into the end zone this weekend? Needs a touchdown.
I think he does.
He needs it for his psyche, and I think he gets it this weekend.
All right, guys, let's hear from who make it all possible, our good buddies over at Pride Roofing.
Hi, I'm Michael.
I'm Alex.
At Pride Roofing, we handle commercial and residential work.
TPO, shingle, and metal inventory. We got it.
Property still in disarray from the recent hurricanes and hailstorms. Insurance claims?
No problem. So you know Pride Roofing is the official roofer at TigerBait.com.
In fact, notify TigerBait and we'll give you a free roof inspection. And on top of that, you get a free year subscription. Call 855-PRIDE-16. Se habla español.
There you go, Mike Faraday, Alex Martinez, co-owners of Pride Roofing right there in Albany, Louisiana. And we value our great relationship with them. They're the official roofing company of TigerBait.com. And as always, give them a call, 855-PRIDE-16. If you're anywhere in Louisiana, Gulf Coast of Mississippi, all the way up to Jackson, they'll even stretch into Mobile. Of course, getting much bigger in Lafayette and Baton Rouge. And they'll go all the way to Vinton, Louisiana. So if you've got any issues, commercial or residential, with your roof, give them a call.
Hey, I had the new manager in Baton Rouge, Jorge Martinez. Now, he's not as good. Well, he's as good looking as Alex, but he's not as big as movie star as Alex. You see the spots. Alex is a piece of work. But, folks, you want to do business with, number one, people who take great pride in the work that they do and the pride that you're going to have after they take care of your roof. Number two, they're likable. Number three, they're going to sharpen the pencil and get competitive on a competitive money deal. And number four, clean, quick, respectful, no fooling around, no craziness. Boom. And you go on to the next one, but they're expanding in Baton Rouge, 225-275-2041. Jorge and his staff will take care of you. Make sure you tell them Mike and Buddy sent you over. But don't forget, they had the acquisition of Crown Metals, and that has changed the roofing business and the metal roofing business in a very positive way for Pride Roofing.
All right, guys, let's let me scroll down here and get to some of these guys.
How about that chick drummer coming in?
Look at that, Carl the Cat. What a great weekend for the change of the weather for high school football.
Carl the Cat is moving up like the Jeffersons. You remember, George? Well, Carl the Cat, the latest high school referee rankings, Carl has seeped into the top 25. He's number 21 this week.
He's number 21 at Baton Rouge
Number
area
21. And guess what? He says he's going to score a touchdown this week. Oh, by the way.
I thought he was high when you had him in the 50s or 60s last year.
Well, how about 21, Noah Kane? Does he take the ball and run like he did? Mike, what did that mean for his psyche, the 49-yarder? Because we all thought that this was going to be the bell cow running back, and he didn't take it from the fall practices we saw to the start of the season.
Yep. I asked him after the game, I said, man, you know, because that run was very reminiscent of the Armani's the week before. And, but, you know, that's kind of what we're seeing. Of course, you don't want to see Emory putting the ball on the ground, but what we're seeing is kind of typical LSU running back rotation that we've seen for 25 years, and going all the way back to Mike Haywood. And but I think they're going to be a lot more effective as this offensive line gets better every week, and quit running it on first down.
But the stats are skewed. LSU is averaging 5.5 yards per carry right now, running the football, and they've got 13 rushing touchdowns. Last year, they only had 8 rushing touchdowns the whole year, and they averaged 3.2 a carry. Now, they're skewed because you played Southern and New Mexico, and obviously Florida State and Mississippi State.
And Jaden Daniels.
And Jaden Daniels, of course, he's a leading rusher. How about this, folks? 6 passing touchdowns, no INTs, 2 rushing touchdowns, and leading the team in rushing. And, oh, by the way, the guy is starting to see the field better. We talk about all the quarterbacks. You talk to Jamie. We all talk to different quarterbacks. Do you sense it when you're watching him up in the press box on the field that he's getting better seeing the field? Because if he starts to locate and they can get it out quick, and now you start to hit some of those open receivers, the other cautionary thing.
I don't know. Do you think it was necessary that he wasn't seeing him, or do you think maybe he was being impatient because he knew he had a patchwork offensive line?
Both.
I think there's a lot of factors there.
Yeah.
But I think he's getting better every week.
73%.
But the defenses are about to get better.
73% completion ratio, folks. That's crazy stats. And oh, by the way, Nuss did a great job of coming back, and he needed that too. Folks, this is why we talk about the psychology. If you can get Booty, and you can get John Emery, and you can get Nuss, and everybody starting to feel it, and you get this thing all in the same and right direction, then you can withstand some of these injuries. I was just going to add with Jaden Daniels. You probably agree. Got to get down. He can't keep taking these hits, or he won't make it to Alabama game.
Trucking with Casper with another super chat. Looks like it's going to be between Alabama and Georgia winning a national title again this year. How do you feel about 12-team playoff? Will it matter overall? I don't know. I think I like it. I think I do like it.
The question is when it's going to be implemented.
Was it going to be 26?
Well, right now, but hey, money talks, and
yeah, but I mean because it's in the old way, but it's also what is the SEC going to look like, and how's that going to schedule? It looks like they're starting to hedge on the 9 game, and they're going to go to 8, and then not have any East or West, just one big conference when Oklahoma and Texas get in.
And they're trying to get in a year earlier now. So, and of course with UCLA, they're fighting UCLA to go to the Big 10. But if USC and UCLA go over there early, we'll see. But I think in the 12, the question is LSU, when this thing is implemented, they ought to be in that 12, Mike.
Yeah,
I mean potentially.
Yeah, Of course, but if you ask me what system do I like, I want to go back to the original BCS because
Yeah,
I thought it worked.
Yeah.
The bowls have been cratered and killed, and so I want to also see how the 12-team playoff does with bowls. And then at what point is there gonna become a normal where you're thinking, what are going to be the opt-outs for kids that aren't on teams that are in the 12-team playoffs? How can that not be anything but worse?
Well, it's such a change in landscape with expansion and with conference realignment and movement and NIL and transfer portal and all the other things. You just have to stay abreast on it because something happens every 3 or 4 weeks. But 12 is coming, and it's going to be more money.
Bean1227 says, I'm here from your segments on Eric Asher. Yeah, Eric does a great job in New Orleans, and I love doing the show. He says, I love the show and site. Thanks to you, I am on the Harlem Berry train for another 2 years. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, he's a fantastic running back. If you live in the New Orleans area, you get a chance to check out St. Martin's Episcopal. He is the real deal. And go check out the footage I shot of them versus Riverdale several weeks ago.
Trivia question. Who got Nick Saban's shirt the night they won the national championship and beat Oklahoma? It was the one and only Eric Asher. He asked for it. Saban gave him the shirt. You know what size it was?
Medium.
But Eric will tell you that story. We went to the press box for that game, and look, you know, everybody knows Bobby Hebert gets a little chaffassed and starts screaming and hollering and cheering. But to bring a championship for one that hadn't been there in 45 years, let's be honest. I know we still have a lot of people that hate Nick, but him and Mark Emmerich got this puppy recharged and back in the right direction. And I think Scott Woodward, with these latest hires, has let's just say, refueled the LSU fan base with potentially, this could be a heck of a year here, calendar going forward.
Absolutely. American Patriot, what was the deal with that reporter and coach, Mulkey? She seemed very irritated and upset. Is that reporter a troublemaker? All right, I'm going to try and address this without stepping in it. I was one row behind that reporter during that press conference. And the question about Griner went right over my head. I'm going to be honest with you. So after that, I pack up. I go to film I saw about 10 minutes of practice, and then I left. And then I'm looking at my phone, and it's blowing up where she's getting tore up on Twitter. And so I needed some more backstory, so I reached out to Smoke and a couple other guys at Sikkim 365 because I don't know the whole story about Mulkey's relationship with Griner. But folks, let me tell you something. There's some ugliness there, and a lot of it is from Griner at Mulkey. She put out a book with some falsehoods in it. She apologized privately, but not publicly. There's been things where she said, But anyways, so Mulkey, I think, could have said something better, and she would have been safe. The next morning, the audio of her on Tiger Rag Radio was retweeted, where she did address the Griner deal months ago and said that she hopes she gets home. And but first thing you see, here comes the USA Today people, that jackass Bakari Sellers from CNN, that's all he does, and he's BFFs with Dawn Staley, and him making tweets, and that's his whole shtick, is to go out there and stir that pot. And of course, Staley and Mulkey are recruiting against each other on kids this year, and it's going to be like that every year. So it wouldn't surprise me if Staley got to old Bakari on the phone and said, hey, make sure you get this out and going viral for me.
Well, look, she basically tried to tell the guy, I have addressed this earlier, and I will address your basketball questions, but I'm not going to make another statement on the Griner situation. I did not know.
And by the way, if she just says, look, this is an awful deal, I hope she gets home soon, she would have been safe. But even had she said that and that got chopped up into a TikTok style video or a little short and put out there on Twitter and YouTube, then you've got a whole contingent of the country who's going to say, you know what? Shame on her. She went to Russia and disobeyed their laws and blah, Look, who was the kid 30 years ago that got caned in Singapore because he was chewing gum or spit his gum out or whatever, right?
Well, my point is
when you go somewhere, you learn their laws. So she could have got pilloried for that. So she was in a no-win situation, but you can book it. I don't know this reporter. I don't think he was a plant. I don't think it was by design. I think he just asked the question because he has covered women's basketball at previous stops, I'm told. But it just seems like every time that there's an issue like this with the media, you can book it. It's a Gannett property. USA Today, woke, and a Gannett property.
Well, wait a minute. I thought Glenn Guilbeau gave you a Gannett hat and shirt one time.
Yeah.
Listen, all I was going to say about it is this. She knew that was a planted question and a planted reporter, and she made a mention that, hey, what's your name? You come back and don't just come throw here and these uppercuts right out of the gate. If you cover LSU, you come and do your job.
I'm waiting for Dawn Staley to apologize over the BYU deal because that was a total lie.
They're not going to apologize, but
she's an asshole.
The point is this. We know that. The point is this. Kim Mulkey has already addressed it. They put out the stuff the day after to show where she had made the comments. It wasn't appropriate for her. She had already glossed over it. And I'm going to say it tonight, and we're going to say it all through November, December. Get your tickets because women's basketball, men's basketball, and women's gymnastic is going to rock and roll with the PMAC this year. It's going to be the place to be. I can't believe they landed Kim Mulkey, Matt McMahon, Jay Johnson, and Brian Kelly. And even though the results have not come in as fast as the fan base wants, you are getting ready to get to some golden sports here in the next 2-3 years with those kind of Hall of Fame coaches.
Absolutely. All right, let's see. Let me scroll up and get some of these. Yeah, boy, you get me started on that.
Well, see, I don't get too hot over that because I don't have time of it. I like the stats. And, hey, can you believe it? I was shocked when I realized that 5.5 yards per carry. Oh, by the way, Mike, very balanced offense. LSU's averaging in the 480s on yards. And you and I talked about it today. If anybody's ever seen an LSU game where the opponent got 2 or less first downs, I don't think it's ever happened in the history of LSU. I'm talking about modern-day football. But that was a domination. But let's be honest. We're going to find out what's really this team is made of. And Sevyn Banks now back, Fouché back, all the things that you're playing, all these freshmen, and Jaden Daniels. If you can keep him healthy, I want to make sure they teach him to slide a little bit more. Mike, he can't take a big hit like he took in New Mexico every week. You just can't. It'll wear him out and hurt him.
Trey Pontan with a super chat. Thank you. Says, good evening, Mike and Buddy. # beat Auburn. And there you go on that. And
well, they going to play as bad.
By the way, how many shows have I done? That was the first time I've cussed.
Listen, I've had board hops leave my microphone during the break, so people have heard the F-bomb with me before. But look, you got passionate, and people like passionate. And all I can say is that Kim Mulkey knows exactly what she's doing. And if you don't like the direction that she, McMahon, Jay Johnson, and Kelly have LSU programs moving, and we're not even talking about the new volleyball coach doing great things, and of course Jay Clark now, he's got to come back with a big year this year. But it's a good time to be a Tiger fan. And Mike told me today, folks, he thinks LSU's got a good chance of pulling upset. I do think Tennessee will be a slight favorite in that game next Saturday.
Well, and what do you think that line will be?
It depends on what LSU does against Auburn. If they blow them out, it could be 2 or 3. But Tennessee could be a 2 or 3, 4-point favorite, something like that.
Well, I was both. I was right, and then Preston was right. I thought the line for LSU Auburn would be 4 or 5, and it was on Sunday, and then it What is it now? Almost 10?
I checked it tonight. It's 9.5.
Yeah, it's right at 10. So Preston was right. I think he said 10 and 12. So it's crazy. What does that tell you about what's going on in Auburn, that it's jumped that much?
And I told you this on a podcast earlier. A.J. McCarron, former Alabama quarterback, told one of these guys that does these podcasts that he has heard that Brian Harson's going to get fired. The big money people are going crazy. We talked about it. Remember the old days, folks, when you had a coach you disliked so much. And I remember the Mississippi State game. Mississippi State beat LSU one year with DiNardo, and they had got an extra down. I think they beat them like 15-14, something like that. And people were happy as hell because that was going to make the exit with Jerry D quicker. That's what's going on with Harsin right now. It's about 50-50. They want him gone, and the politics and the money people want him gone. I'm not buying that Deion Sanders, though, would be a true candidate. That's just a bunch of hogwash.
Well, here it is. I enjoy talking about her each and every week. So our good friend Tony Freeman sponsors this show each and every week with Assurance Financial. If you're thinking of buying a new home, refinancing your current mortgage, haven't found a lender you can trust, let me tell you about Tony Freeman in Baton Rouge right here at Assurance Financial. Dion, someone that many of my friends have used over and over again for their mortgage needs. Her knowledge and over 25 years of experience in the mortgage industry is unsurpassed. She offers a wide range of knowledge of home loan products, whether you're a first-time home buyer, ready to buy a new home, or you just want to explore your refinance options. Tony can guide you through your next mortgage experience. You can feel confident you're making the best financial decision with Tony as your guide. Not only is Tony a huge LSU fan, but Assurance Financial is a proud partner of LSU Athletics. Call Tony today, 225-239-7150. Again, 225-239-7150. And please, whatever you do, tell her you heard about her right here on TigerBait.com. NMLS number 104765. Equal housing opportunity 70876, and there's nobody better than her, and you need her expertise right now.
Yeah.
If you're having to move, if you're negotiating interest rates, they're going up. A lot of people don't want to move right now because of the way things are, but sometimes you just can't help it. Job changes, whatever it may be. And if you're anywhere in the South, she's licensed in multiple states. So give her a call. She'll help you out.
$1 Million Smile, consummate professional, knows how to dot the I's, cross the T's, and I promise you will be very comfortable doing business with Tony. And also, of course, Assurance Company is a prime sponsor with LSU Athletics. You hear their radio ads on the radio. Hey, I didn't have a chance to interact with you much because I've been crazy and you've been crazy, but has LSU, and I know it's hard, it's apples and oranges with the Southern game and so many people out there, but have they effectively done a good job of taking care of the traffic and contraflow and problems? Is it still bad?
Well, I mean, the New Mexico crowd in the second half is almost nothing.
Yeah.
And I took a different route. So, but I can tell you if you, some of the media lots are near the football facility in the vet school, in the softball stadium. So if you take a left out of there and you hit River Road and you're taking a left heading towards LaBerge, that is awful. Mm-hmm. I'm still not understanding if you also come in from River Road, usually there's a bank of police officers at Skip Burtman in River Road. And if you don't have a parking pass, they're not going to let you take a right. Well, they've been non-existent. I don't know where they're at. People say there's not enough police officers or maybe LSU's not paying for them. I don't know. But let's see what happens for Tennessee because they better have their act together for that one. Because for an early stuff like that, everybody's going to want to leave at the same time. And you better get up early for that one.
Tennessee going to bring we know I call them the Tony Vitellos because they've been yapping. And they've got an excellent quarterback in Hooker, and we know they've got an excellent offense. Now, I think LSU can burn them with their secondary, throwing the football. But 11 a.m., Todd Poley spit it out this week. LSU's 8-0 on morning kickoffs since the start of the century, 2000. So that's a stat.
We all have it in our head that they've been awful at 11 in the morning because that was –
I didn't even remember Florida was 11 a.m., 49-42 last year. I remember Mullen had 2 or 3 brain farts and let LSU.
I seem, it used to be LSU's awful and loses during the day. Well, LSU's day game record in Tiger Stadium this century, period.
Yeah.
Whether it's 11 or 2:30 has been
better.
phenomenal.
Appreciably better.
What is 5 o'clock a night game? What do you say?
Well,
that?
see, that's I forgot how
I
they
love the
cut that.
I love the 5
Yeah,
o'clock.
you like that time.
The 5 o'clock to me.
But
I love it.
Tennessee is going to bring, I think, 10,000 fans. I really do. From now they realize they're getting LSU at a weak, vulnerable spot at 11. But the stats don't prove it. But the fans can't tailgate. Now you got to get out there. You got to wake up at 6. You got to get your stuff packed at 7. You got to leave for 8. You're out there and you're drinking booze and you're trying to do all it just takes away, because LSU fans love that 2, 3, 4 hour tailgate where you're talking, interacting, and talking.
Well, look, you just reverse it. If you get the big win over Tennessee, you got all afternoon to party, and then you also get to take the missus, or if you're treating as the wife going to treat the husband, you get to go out and have a nice meal in Baton Rouge Saturday night.
The other thing that it does, LSU plays Ole Miss and Alabama, big games at home here. Those games are certainly not going to be in the 11 o'clock window.
No.
But look, you got a good one this weekend at 11 o'clock, okay? We don't mind that Kentucky and Ole Miss going to play at 11 o'clock this Saturday, because we're going to watch.
Man, who are you picking in that one?
I don't know.
Where's
man.
that game at?
At Ole Miss. And Lane Kiffin is not happy with the crowd leaving early, so he's kind of pulling the Saban. You remember when Saban bitched at the students for leaving? Kiffin's trying to get that.
Man, I don't know who I like in that one.
Yeah, that's a tough game. Ole Miss is favored by 5, though.
Yeah, Chance Babin. Mike McMahon isn't flashy, but he seems like a great hire so far. I agree. I liked where he particularly talked up Monday about doing a lot of stuff to help bond the team, going to Top Golf, and he listed 3 or 4 things, doing his best to make all these guys that have come from out of nowhere that haven't been together become good teammates to one another. So I'm anxious to see what they're going to look like. I also love the fact that he and Mulkey are doing stuff together. What's that event they've got?
Yeah. First week October.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a fun event. Let's just see how healthy those guys are going to be. I can't wait to see Miller after missing last year.
And look, this guy is a really good coach with guards, and what wins in March? Guards. And so there's going to be a lot of great guard play. But Adam Miller, I think, is the icing on the cake, getting him back.
Rick says, hit the like button, y'all. 413 watching and only 60 likes. Let's get that over 100. Thanks, Rick. Big time. Brett Garafola says, I love that Kim Mulkey jumped straight on the reporter with a no. But then she thought about it, and she interrupted the next question and said, were you, yeah.
Look,
Well, I hope you come back. Like, she spun it good. Like, I didn't think anything of it. I really didn't. It wasn't until after the fact that I'm like, oh boy. It's amazing what the national media seizes on. Just like going back to Brian Kelly in the PMAC with the accent. I saw it. It didn't register with me. The things that they will seize on, or when he comes into a press conference and makes a joke and nobody laughs and he does what he does. I'm sure they thought he was serious about picking at Joe Sloan the other night when he was telling Joe to be quiet. He's just, I don't know. It's a national, but what that shows you is there's so much media out there and so many media outlets, and everybody's trying to go viral. You got to have the good headline, the good little, you've got 1,000 different YouTube videos on how to make the greatest thumbnails to make people click on it. Everybody's using the same programs.
This is why I'm an old guy and I don't live and die by social media. I got to ask you something. You remember that kid's name that came from Lafayette, Gannett? You remember his name?
I don't.
I don't either. If you haven't realized that Brian Kelly is getting the same respect, hell, everybody was calling Nick Saban a carpetbagger and all these other names when he came to LSU. Feinbaum included. Now he's got a knee pad. Nick for his left knee, and Saban.
And by the way,
for his right knee.
Kelly's doing that for Feinbaum's doing that for Kelly now too.
But what my point is that when they don't like it, especially the Notre Dame people, the northern people, all the people around the country, when they're coming after Kim Mulkey, and Brian Kelly, then you know you got good coaches, folks, because usually they don't have LSU at their best interest, as we know.
A lot of folks in the chat discussing what their plans are and how they're going to go negotiate that 11 a.m. kickoff. Nurse Court rolls in at 8:50, says, sorry I'm late, guys. Worked over. Hope all are well. Glad to have you back. Rick gives her a welcome. Jeff Garman, I love that comment that BK made about Sloan. It was hilarious. And coaches do that. They love picking on each other. Exactly, Rob Boudreaux. Everyone makes a big deal out of everything. It's all about headlines because no one reads the story anymore. We see it in recruiting. It's all about, making edits. Who reads long-form recruiting updates anymore? We still do them. But, the attention span is about this long.
Well, listen, as we all know, one of the pitfalls in this political climate and this media climate that we are in is that there are some purposes that really aren't on the up and up. And once again, Kim Mulkey's brain is like a computer. She's like Skip Bertman. Skip Bertman would call 2-3 pitches. He'd be 3 pitches ahead of the other team. Kim Mulkey knows exactly what she's doing, and she probably was well-versed when she saw that crowd and said, I might get one of these, seeing that this has been national headlines. But you've got to be careful not to alienate anybody, and that is sometimes a tough road to. But Mike, it is the way it is. The media takes something, chops it up, and spits it out, and it goes the way they want it to. And so you got to be smart dealing with that. I thought she handled it well because that was not the time. She'd already done it, and like I said, we saw this guy, but nobody remembered his name.
Roy Green says, Jack Best should never leave the field, period. And by the way, just to circle back on Mulkey and Staley, LSU goes to South Carolina this year.
Hey, man.
I would love for Staley to have to come to the PMAC because I would want the LSU student section to give her the business like they've ever given any coach, any football coach.
I watched every second of that game last year, and let me tell you what, South Carolina people were going like, holy shit, that's what to see. They almost beat Carolina last year, and she didn't have half the club she's going to have. LSU, very talented. Angel Reese, others coming in. Flau'jae Johnson, going to be a rapper and a shooter. I mean, this is going to be, I'm telling you right now, a sellout for Kim Mulkey, a sellout for Matt McMahon, and definitely a sellout for Jay Clark. Be part of that.
Look, I know we've got guys in this chat who've never been to a women's basketball game. I get it. We didn't start covering women's basketball at TigerBait till a year ago. I'm still amazed that our subscribers aren't saying, Mike, what are you doing covering women's basketball? But this is a whole different animal with Kim Mulkey. And I think they're fun, they're talented, and I believe she's going to win a national championship at LSU.
And LSU is
get your tickets.
Never won a game in the Final Four, men or women. She will be the first to win a game in the Final Four. And it's kind of fun to see what this team is going to look like because a lot of bodies, a lot of talent.
And by the way, if you want to say, I'll say it. If you want me to rate the coaches at LSU, like who's the most talented coach at LSU, regardless of sport, it's Kim Mulkey. Who you putting second? Are you putting Brian Kelly number one?
No, I'm putting Kim Mulkey one. She's got 3 national championships. Guyane is not I'd say Kelly is probably number 2. And then
Jay Johnson.
Well, I mean, Jay
McMahon?
Johnson and McMahon and all those guys.
But look at that. But listen to that. List that. That's just a crazy roster of coaches.
Going to be fun in the PMAC this year, folks.
Oh,
by the way, real quick, TJ Finley is out for this game. Got dinged with the right shoulder a couple of weeks ago in the Penn State loss. So they're going to be down to Ashford. And I don't even know who their second quarterback is. Mike, does this game concern you, or do you think LSU goes in there and takes care of business and wins by double digits?
I just, when I read what I'm reading from the Auburn media, and there's one guy that I've known for a long time, he's not a hatchet thrower. And when I see him write the column that he wrote the other day, and we see the line doing what it's doing, If LSU is focused and they go out there, I think they handle Auburn easily. Now, what does easily mean, points-wise? Defense can rule the day for LSU. Their offensive line is terrible. So, yeah. I don't know how much circle the wagons there is from Auburn. Everybody just believes it's a foregone conclusion that he's going to get fired, and it seems like it happens on Sunday. So does it happen this Sunday if LSU comes into Jordan-Hare and beats them? Due to Rick's, Mike, I watched Carroll versus Sterlington last week. LSU better head north and check out those athletes Carroll has. Never saw Sterlington dominated like that. There are multiple kids in Shreveport they're recruiting that don't have offers right now. And you're right, North Louisiana is having a real surge in prospects to pay attention to. In fact, I'm waiting on a call back. I've got trying to get a guy up there to film a couple of games for me in the next 2 weeks. So, absolutely. Several up in Shreveport.
Hey, remember when Brian Kelly said one of the reasons that he came here was the word alignment? And, Mike, are you noticing this? Of course, look, Honey Badger and Jarvis are playing for the Saints. That's good PR. Man, Aaron Andrews does a deal with Fournette, had the LSU stuff on. I mean, there's a lot of love at the NFL level for LSU, Jefferson, Chase, Burrow, all of that. But I see more former players embracing LSU. Do you get the feeling that there's a pretty much an alignment? And because, let's be honest, with Coach O there at the end, there was some give and take with some
I've heard
players.
some things. But I think it's because Kelly is organized.
People respect him.
I don't know that a former player can just knock on the door and say, hey, I want to watch practice today. There's a process. You got to send an email and say what day you're wanting to come, and he gets to decide.
But he's been a lot better. He was really tight at first, but he's been a lot better now because you realize former players going to help him recruit.
Yeah, and I think there's probably some former players that probably had free reign to come and go, and I don't know, and maybe it's not there anymore.
Well, I'm just saying on a national scope, I think a lot of people are worried that Brian Kelly is going to start moving this program back up. And as we've said on this show many times, before you talk national championship, you got to talk SEC. And right now, to win an SEC championship, you'd have to beat Alabama and Georgia in the same year. And so LSU's not there. But you give them a couple more recruiting classes, I think the Tiger Faithful will be all in.
And Paul Daigle, Moo U is favored over A&M at home. Thoughts? That's another one that's like, man, which way do you go on that? I tend to give the benefit of the doubt to Max Johnson, even if it's not a pretty win. I just have always thought Max is a gamer, and there's I think A&M is better with Max, but.
Well, all right, I got to throw the elephant in the room.
And how much of a home advantage is Starkville?
Well, but here's my question to you: who's the better quarterback for LSU this year, Max Johnson or Jaden Daniels?
I'll take Jaden Daniels.
I do too. A lot of people like what Max is doing. We know Jimbo's offense is stagnant and old school. I'll tell you this: Max still holds onto the ball too long, but he still is tough as nails as a runner. And interesting, but they could have lost a couple of other games, and I don't think they're doing anything more than.
I just don't
what
know.
What do you think? 9-3 is their highest point.
A&M.
They're gonna lose at least 3 games.
I think A&4 is their height for them.
Yeah. I mean, but they're certainly gonna lose to Alabama, and that game, of course, is coming.
But that's the running question. I mean, can you seriously, with any confidence, nail down who's going to finish second in the West?
No.
And can you do the same in the East? Who's going to finish second?
Kentucky and Tennessee are making statements in the East.
Yeah.
So.
And when's that game?
That'll be coming up.
But there's going to be a lot of good games coming up. And I don't know what to make of Arkansas. Did you watch much of that one?
Yeah, Arkansas was dominating A&M. They were up 14-7, and unfortunately, KJ Jefferson, their quarterback, tried to stretch the ball over the goal line, lost possession, and it was a 14-point swing. They picked it up and lateraled and ran it in, so it's 14-14 instead of 21-7. Then they missed the field goal at the end. They host Bama this week, 15.5-point underdogs at Arkansas. Arkansas is a tough place to play for LSU.
I might be tempted to take the points.
I think Bama is going to struggle to cover that spread.
After losing that game to A&M the way they did.
They don't play that great on the road, Bama. So
that's a big number spread.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're going to win, but I like that number. I'm not a gambler, but that number seems crazy. All right, guys. If you've been on TigerBait, we had 2 quarterback updates. I got great Shelton Sampson video posted today. Go to TigerBait when we sign off the show. Subscribe if you're not already with us. Try us out for $1. I think you'll enjoy the website. You're going to get our text alerts for breaking news. I got a big newsletter going out tomorrow. And so we've got a lot going for you on TigerBait.com. Go subscribe. And, of course, if you like the show tonight, please hit the like button and hit that subscription button, notification bell. And we'll be back for our post-game show on Saturday. And either Preston will be in studio, or we'll do it remotely. But we'll have a post-game show earlier because it's a road game. And back next week with multiple shows. So, all right, guys, thanks for all you guys tuning in. Spread the word, and see you on the other side. Good night.